But all is not well with my fellow Republicans either. Just a few weeks before Biden threw Israel to the wolves, many Republicans in Congress tried to push Ukraine off of a cliff. All told, 112 House Republicans voted against military aid to Ukraine. Thankfully, Speaker Mike Johnson showed moral courage and a clear understanding of the stakes. He overcame both Republicans and Democrats to support Ukraine and Israel. Thank God. Two countries who are America's friends, and they're fighting America's enemies. If they win, we win. If they lose, we lose. Most Republicans understand that when it comes to Israel. 32 Americans were murdered on October 7th. Hamas is still holding American hostages. Why no one is talking about that daily, I will never understand. And the radicals on college campuses hate America as much as they hate Israel. That's why we must stand with Israel without apology. I hope Republicans keep standing strong with Israel to defeat the terrorists. And we must hold the terrorist regime in Iran accountable. After all, Iran isn't just saying death to Israel. They're also saying death to America. And they believe they're making a promise. That included the late president of Iran. That helicopter crash couldn't have happened to a worse person. Ibrahim Raisi was responsible for the deaths of thousands of innocents. The people of Iran are better off without him. Some Republicans lack the same clarity when it comes to Ukraine. Russia's dictator has made it perfectly clear that he won't stop at Kyiv. He wants to recreate the Soviet Union, and he's threatened to attack our NATO allies. We are obligated to defend them, and if Russia attacks, American troops will go to war. We must do everything possible to ensure that doesn't happen. Our goal should always be the prevention of war through strength and moral clarity. Saving our soldiers demands we stand with Ukraine and against Russia. And if we're going to stop a war in the Pacific, we have to win the war in Europe. No one is watching Ukraine more closely than China. No one is watching Israel more closely either. If we throw in the towel, China will assume it can invade Taiwan with impunity. China is waiting to see if America is stupid enough to throw away the Middle East, Europe, and the Asia Pacific all at the same time. But China isn't just waiting. President Xi is actively coordinating with Iran and Russia. China props up the Iranian economy so it can keep sowing chaos in the Middle East. China props up the Russian military to help destabilize Europe. Xi Jinping will keep supporting our enemies because it undermines America. A fourth-grade bully gets it, even if a fourth-term congressman doesn't. Now, I'm sympathetic to many of my fellow Republicans' concerns. They say we need to end the crisis at our southern border. That's absolutely true, and there's an immediate need for action. Biden has given illegal immigrants and drug runners the green light to flood our country and kill our children. Securing the border is a national necessity. Our safety and security demand it. But Republicans are wrong when they say we have to fix the border before doing anything else. We shouldn't pretend we can only solve one problem at a time. If that's how we think, we have a long list to get through. We need to fix our broken education system. We need to end inflation and give working families relief. We need to get runaway welfare spending under control. We need to stop the crime that's sweeping college campuses and destroying our cities. Do these Republicans want us to ignore those issues too? Only until we deal with the border? Or is it just support for Ukraine they claim is getting in the way of dealing with our border? This is America. We can do these things at the same time. In fact, we have to. If we try to tackle them one by one, it'll be decades before we finally get serious about our enemies. By that point, they'll be even stronger, but we'll be weaker. And defending ourselves will be more expensive, not less. When your enemies are preparing to storm the beach, you don't bury your head in the sand. I also agree that we should cut foreign aid. At the United Nations, I dealt with plenty of countries that hate America, then put their hand out and ask for money. I fought to stop them from getting a cent, and I support cutting foreign aid even more. But sending weapons to Ukraine and Israel isn't foreign aid. It's an investment in the world in which authoritarian dictators cannot run roughshod over free countries. We should end the war in Ukraine, but that doesn't mean appeasing Putin. It means sending Ukraine enough missiles, tanks, and fighter jets to send Putin packing. We don't need a forever war. We need a fast war, and we need Ukraine to win this war now. Finally, China is the biggest threat facing America. But biggest threat doesn't mean only threat. And we must realize that all of these threats are working together. When Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, America didn't ignore Nazi Germany and fascist Italy. We confronted the Axis powers simultaneously. China, Russia, and Iran are the modern-day Axis. While China is the senior partner, its fate is closely tied to the junior members. If we don't help our friends beat Russia in Europe and Iran in the Middle East, then China will impose its will over Asia, and America itself will be in serious jeopardy. Such a crisis is closer than we think. Joe Biden is rushing toward it, and some Republicans would move us toward war as well. By abandoning our allies, they're aiding our enemies. It isn't just short-sighted, it's self-defeating. Our enemies want to crush us. They see a chance to destroy America. The question is, will we let them? We can turn inward, but the outside world won't leave us alone. Our future will either be shaped by us and our friends, or it will be shaped by our enemies. Failing to act is the worst action of all, and delaying will only lead to more difficult decisions and a greater chance of catastrophe. The times we live in look like the 1930s. Our economy is weak. Our country is divided. Our leaders fail adequately to stand up for our allies, even as our enemies target them and set their sights on us. We know how that era ended. It ended with a victory, but at a terribly high price. We must never have to pay that price again, and there's still time to ensure we don't. The hour is late. We have to face the hard truths and do harder work. But I have faith that we'll rise to meet the challenge before us. If any country can still make it happen, it's ours. As my immigrant parents told me and my siblings, we are blessed to live in America. And as every generation of Americans proves, we always rally to defend that blessing. Thank you, and God bless.